Alright, so I'm going to show you some of my favorite metal albums that I have. Again, anything you see from me is literally off the top of my head. I may show pictures, I may not, but I will say that some of them doesn't matter. Anyways, so one of my favorite albums that I didn't discuss in my last video to get you into metal, Ozzy Osbourne's No More Tears. First off, first track, very nice, soft opening. Goes hard and heavy into it. Second album with Zakk Wylde, who, my opinion, as far as where Ozzy was going to go, I think was a better choice for Ozzy than Randy Rhoads. Granted, Randy Rhoads is a better technical guitarist. I'll never not say he's not. But as far as where Ozzy, I think, was trying to go after Black Sabbath, I think Zakk Wylde fit a lot better because he's more metal oriented. Good songs off that album: Mr. Tinker Train, No More Tears, Desire, Zombie Stomp, Hellraiser, AVH. I don't know, I'm just naming songs off the album at this point. But yeah, it's just a good overall album overall. Another one that I wouldn't say surprises anyone who's watching this video, if anyone's watching. I'll always put that in my video because I don't think anyone's going to watch these. But another good metal album is the Alone in the Dark soundtrack. Now, the movie itself, I used to like as a kid, teenager. It's fucking terrible. But the soundtrack, if you actually look it up on AllMusic, I believe it either has a 4.5 or a 4 or 5 out of 5 out of stars. Why? So Nuclear Blast, Century Media actually got together and put out this compilation of what I would think would be the best of old, current, and up and coming at that point in 2005 metal artists, because they went balls deep all in on this fucking soundtrack. Granted, one song gets used in the movie, but that does not mean they didn't stack the sumbitch. You got Dimmu Borgir, Cradle of Filth, Strapping Young Lion, Meshuggah, Nemec, Samael. I think I've already said Dimmu Borgir. I can't remember. Sorry. You know what? Give me 1 second. I actually have it up in the tab. Give me 1 fucking second. I can actually tell you who all's in this. So, you got Dimmu Borgir, Shadows Fall, Fear Factory, In Flames, Strapping Young Lion, Gnostic Front, God Forbid, Chimera, Dark Tranquility, Exodus, Machine Head, Soilwork, Lacuna Coil, Dillinger Escape Plan, Meshuggah, Nightwish, Cradle of Filth, Ministry, Agatha Daemon, Arch Enemy, Death Angel, Diecast, Firewall Ministry, Heaven Shall Burn, Hypocrisy, Mastodon, Ministry, Misery Index, Nemec, Descended, Suffocation, Raunchy, Cataclysm, Bloodbath, All Shall Perish, Bleed the Scries, Samael, Dying Fetus, The Haunted, and Death Stars. If that's not enough to get you into a fucking soundtrack, I don't know what is, honestly. But it's, for me, it was actually really cool because I bought the soundtrack, I think, for the Nemec track, honestly, because I really liked it in the movie. And then I started getting really into it. It actually introduced me to a lot of different types of metal, which is, I should use this in my How to Get Into Metal If You're Not Already Into Metal video, but it has so many different genres. Besides Doom, there's not really a lot of Doom on there, but there is extreme black metal. Well, what I would consider extreme black metal anyways. But there's extreme metal, there's thrash metal, there's industrial, there is metalcore, there's deathcore, there is just regular ass metal, there is symphonic metal. There is so much different metal on one fucking CD, on 2 CDs actually. They went, like I said, they went balls deep. They put 2 CDs out, And they did license out from Roadrunner and Liquidate Records, but yes, Century Media. I mean, it was a Nuclear Blast CD, but Nuclear Blast Century Media, if you actually read the credits, did cooperate on the track listing. But they also got Fear Factory from Liquidate because that was during their weird fucking, for some odd reason, put on this weird ass record label. And they also got some artists from Roadrunner. But yeah. Alright, so let's go into actually what I actually have on me. Danzig 4P, 4, whatever the fuck you want to call it. I like it. It's a nice. It's kind of like one of the last albums Danzig went somewhat with the traditional rock, gothic, metal sound that he had, but it also showed more signs of his industrial going that he did on Danzig 5, Black Acid Devil, and to a lesser but still greater extent on Satan's Child. It's just a really good, like, nice gothic, weird, I'd almost say experimental type album for him. Cause I don't know what the name of the song is on the album, but there's this one weird, like, very just like turned up to fucking 11 experimental track on the album. It's weird, I'll give it that, but it's still a great album. Alright, so I don't listen to a lot of metalcore, deathcore. I actually don't listen to it because it's just not my thing. However, so this is from Chimera. It's called Age of Hell. I just actually got this year. I don't really know what to say about it. I mean, it's kind of it's somewhat of like your standard metalcore and deathcore, but from what I recall listening to it, there's not a lot of clean vocals. It's just very much screaming, but it's still got like the same like very clean, overproduced production sound. It still has like the blast beats, still has like the heavy ass bass breakdowns. There's a really good song on here called Born in Blood. I really like it. If I'm not mistaken, I believe the vocals from Whitechapel. If I'm getting that right, it could be the Whitechapel Emotionals and Whites. I don't actually have a fucking clue. Like I said, I don't listen to a lot of newer metal to begin with, but I did like this album, and I really like Born in Blood off this album particularly. It's just me. Black Sabbath's Paranoid, obviously, really influential. There's a lot of good metal songs covered in my last video. You know, you have thrash, kind of. You have heavy metal, you have doom metal. It's kind of like a nice beginner pack if you're trying to get into like a lot of metal, but it's still a good metal album. One I forgot to pull off was Killswitch Engage's As Daylight Dies. I will say the only reason I ever listened to that fucking album was because the deluxe edition had the bonus track This Fire, which on WWE Reckless Intent was called This Fire Burns, which was CM Punk's soundtrack. Or not soundtrack, theme song. I still liked it. I still like the album, but it is a good metal album. It's another example of a metalcore, what I would call metalcore. But a lot of people would actually call metal. Well, a lot of metalheads, quotations, would call metalcore. Still a good album though. I did not pull it off my shelf. Like I said, I was just kind of quickly grabbing shit that I could think of. But yeah. Now, I may draw some ire if anyone actually watches the second video. Vince Stone Poltergeist Tits. Now, I, as a metalhead, and I would like to call myself a metalhead because I may show a lot of mainstream albums on here, but be fair, be warned, be whatever to your extent. I do listen to metal bands like Morbid Saint, Violence, At War, Slaughter, not the fucking hair metal Slaughter, but like the Canadian thrash death metal band Slaughter. I do actually listen to like a lot of, I would say not underground, but like to a lesser extent, like not as popular covered metal bands that like traditional fans would go to. However, I would like to use this channel to get people into metal. If you start throwing around like a lot of obscure metal bands, all you're really doing is alienating people, which is not what I'm trying to fucking do. Granted, I'm off to a terrible start with that because one, there is a rebel flag behind me. Two, I am wearing a fucking ICP jersey. But again, I don't really give a shit. I'm not fucking racist, obviously. Well, I can't say obviously. ICP fans listen to fucking are kind of racist. I don't know why. I don't even know how that works. I don't know how you can be a rat and be racist. It's kind of fucking weird. Anyways, point is, I'm not trying to isolate people from this, from music, from metal. And if you throw around a lot of obscure, not obscure, but you know what I mean. If you're watching this and you are a metalhead, metal bands, they're gonna be like, I don't know who the fuck is this, turn it off. But anyways, I don't even remember what my fucking point was. So I'm just gonna move the fuck on. Oh, right, Avenged Sevenfold. So Avenged Sevenfold, greatest hits. I don't know how great of it can be because I know that there's a song. It's either This Means War or Hail to the King. It's not on there, which I was very surprised because they came out around the same time. It's not on there, but it's still one of my favorite metal albums. Quotation marks, because I don't give a fuck who you are. If you're my age and Avenged Sevenfold's Backcountry came out, we all thought that was like heavy as shit. I don't even really know what to say. Avenged Sevenfold, they're not the heaviest band out there, but they are one of the more mainstream metal bands out there. Plus, it does have like a really terrific cover of Walk. And if you think that that's terrible, you should really listen to fucking Kilgore's version, because I thought Kilgore's version was like cool as shit. Granted, it was one of the tracks I could get off the Walmart fucking download thing when I was a kid, which was what we had when I was a kid. Because I remember, I think like Pop Tarts or something offered it. I don't remember. And then I listened to Pantera's, and I thought that was awesome. And then fucking Avenged Sevenfold put out a cover, and I was like, holy shit, this is even more awesome. Kind of found out, to tie it back into Killswitch Engage, apparently our Avenged Sevenfold's version of Walk was actually meant for WWE Reckless Intent, but they didn't go for it. So Avenged Sevenfold ended up releasing it on a live albums / somewhat rarities compilation that they did, and then it ended up on the greatest hits, which I was glad finally did get a vinyl release. It is 3 LP. It is pretty cool. If you're not into Avenged Sevenfold, cool. If you think that I'm lesser of a metalhead because I'm doing this with a fucking ICP jersey on or a flag behind me, I love Avenged Sevenfold, fuck you, honestly. I don't really give a shit. Anyways, moving on. Anthrax spreading the disease. I do actually think that Anthrax spreading the disease is the superior album that Anthrax did. Only seconded to Among the Living, and then third by Persistence of Time. Now, why I think this is better? I think that this represents Anthrax's vision more than Among the Living does. Granted, you could disagree with me. I'm probably sure you do. Anthrax's Among the Living is like a very fast and heavy album. However, this one, it has a lot more of the fantasy lyrics and songs, but also I think it also goes a little bit more fucking harder and thrashier than Among the Living does. Again, that's just me. Now, I will say that this album and Persistence of Time are my two favorite of the Joey Belladonna era of Anthrax. Of the John Bush era, not really a clue. Didn't really listen to a lot of the John Bush era. I did peep out some tracks from The Greater of Two Evils where like John Bush did the covers of the Joey Belladonna era. There's some songs on there I liked from him. There's some songs I didn't. But the John Bush shit, I never really checked out. And Fistful of Metal, I can tell you right now, I didn't care for a few years ago. Maybe now that I'm more into like this raw, kind of like underproduced metal, that I could say that I was into it. Granted, I don't know. I don't know. Alice in Chains, Black Gives Way to Blue. Now, I'm gonna say this right now. Alice in Chains, Black Gives Way to Blue is probably the best album Alice in Chains ever did, including the shit they did with Lane Staley. Why? Stays focused, honestly. Like, if you listen to Dirt, yeah, it's metal, but it just kind of jumps the fuck around. Like, you've got like sludgy metal, you've got like alternative metal, you've got grunge, you've got like mainstream rock. It's just so fucking it just jumps around. If you listen to Facelift, Jesus, like, I understand that Alice in Chains started out much like a lot of bands for some fucking reason starting doing funk metal. And I mean a lot of bands. If you ever actually look into some of these bands that like came up, you've got Papa Roach, you've got Stone Temple Pilots, you've got Hoobastank, you've got Incubus, you've got Alice in Chains. They all, for some odd fucking reason, did funk metal. I don't know why. But anyways, like, if you look at Alice in Chains Facelift, first off, album starts off pretty fucking strong. You've got We Die Young. You got Man in the Box. And you've got bands like Love Hate Love. You've got one of my favorite songs off the album. I can't remember. You've got Sunshine. But then you've also got like songs. I can't even think of the names of the songs. But like there's just a lot of funk. Now, Black Gives Way to Blue, very fucking consistent overall. Now, I will say this. I do not like the albums they put out after. Like, I did like Devil Puts the Dinosaurs There, or Devil Put the Dinosaurs, I don't know. The Devil Put the Dinosaurs There. I like that album. Not enough to pay the outrageous fucking prices for it on record. I do have it on CD. Rainier Fog, I did not care for. Black Gives Way to Blue, I liked. The reason why I like the two albums after it is because I think that those albums are too fucking derivative of Black Gives Way to Blue. Now, what I mean by that is, while I say that Alice in Chains stuff before Black Gives Way to Blue is too inconsistent, if you at least look at every album, they at least change it up. Like the first album, you had alternative metal, you had grunge, you had funk, you had whatever the fuck. You had Dirt, which again, you had grunge, you had hard rock, you had mainstream rock, you had like a little bit of a sludgy feel. You look at their two EPs, Jar of Flies and Sap, very acoustic based, almost kind of like they almost have the sound of what post grunge started out to become. But I mean, they can't really be post grunge if they are grunge. But I mean, I'm just saying, like they had the very acoustic, very raw, very stripped down sound. You look at their self-titled Alice in Chains, very acoustic based, it still had rock, it still had some sludge stuff on there, but I mean, like, it was just very different. And you look at Black Gives Way to Blue, all of a sudden they're coming at you with a new lead vocalist. There's a lot of cool like ghost harmonies behind it. Almost sounds like almost sounds like fucking Lane Staley's like Ghost is over the production. But then you listen to Devil Puts Dinosaurs There, and you're just like, this sounds a lot like fucking Black Gives Way to Blue. And you listen to Rainier Fog, and it's like, this sounds a lot like Black Gives Way to Blue. And you're just like, well, that's cool in some bands. On the other hand, it's just like you had like a nice record of changing shit up. Like even Jerry Control, when he did his solo stuff, he at least like every track was like something different, which was why I didn't really care for his album. But at the same time, or his albums, but at the same time, it's just like, hey, at least he's varying it up, at least keeping it different. Black Gives Way to Blue though, very consistent. I like it. I really like it a lot, actually. I think it's like I said, I think it's their best album they ever did. I'm just gonna pull. Oh no. Fuck. Oh no. Oh no. Alright, sorry for that. So, now, what I think is my favorite, I'm going with Metallica on this one, would be And Justice for All. It's so, like, I think it's so great that I actually, which is something rare for me, actually bought another copy of it, and the newer copy, the remastered copy. Now, Metallica's remasters, I will say this as far as the vinyl goes, they're bassier. Yeah, they're clearer, but I think they're a hell of a lot more bassier. If you're looking for like that true like 80s production sound, which is like a bit on the tinny side, but it also is like a bit of the underproduced side, you probably want to go with the original press. Add some water damage, get to a lot of my records. I wish they would have. I wish it would not hit my Metallica collection because I had like almost all original presses, but that's another story for another day or never. But still, I did want to pick it up because I was curious what it sounded like. I still do prefer the original, but I will listen to this one occasionally. I do like both. But why it's one of my favorite albums. You can say what you will about it. That stripped down, almost no reverb whatsoever sound, no bass. It's kind of cool. Honestly, it's really fucking cool. Like, because you got to think To Kill 'Em All, which for some odd reason, I don't know if it was Johnny Z, I don't know if it was James Hetfield, I don't know who the fuck it was, but they're just like, hey, you know what, this album needs more fucking reverb on the vocals. Dude, you cannot understand almost a fucking thing on that album for all the reverb. It's the same thing with AC/DC's Fall on the Wall. It's like, you can't understand a fucking word for all the reverb. Now, AC/DC's Fall on the Wall is different. Kill 'Em All, granted, I understand that thrash metal hadn't become really a thing yet. They were just taking like the new wave of British heavy metal with like hard rock and like the hardcore punk scene, and they were just like, hey, let's do something different. But still, I don't know who the fuck decided to turn the fucking reverb all the way up on the vocals. Ride the Lightning has better reverb control, but still, Master of Puppets is always considered like Metallica's best album, which I won't fucking argue with. It's a great album, but it's still a bit on the tinny, like kind of like high in the mid and high range side. Dude, this album, yeah, it's technically tinny, but at the same time, is it? Like, how can it be tinny if everything is stripped the fuck away? Like, there is bass on this album. Like, you may not hear the bass guitar as much, or you may not hear like the bass tones, but you can hear like the bass guitar in parts. You can hear the bass off the fucking drums. You don't hear a lot of reverb as far as the vocals. Like, you hear the guitars, you hear the tones completely. And yeah, they're a little tinny. They're a little stripped of pretty much fucking everything. However, it's still just a hard-hitting fucking album. Like, I don't give a fuck who you are. You know, a lot of metalheads say that this is the album that fucking Metallica, you know, sold out because they made a fucking music video. Well, where are you motherfuckers at when Anthrax made a music video for Spreading the Disease? Where are you motherfuckers at when, you know, the bass line for Peace Sells was used for MTV News? Like, where are you motherfuckers at when a lot of metal bands did music videos before Metallica did? So you all can kind of fuck off on that one. Like, metal bands were doing music videos before Metallica was ever doing it. Hell, look at Black Sabbath's Paranoid. Yeah, they weren't exclusive fucking music videos. Like, I remember seeing those music videos, which were nothing more than like live performances that they just lip sync on TV with like psychedelic fucking colors going behind it, but still, this isn't where metal. They didn't kill fucking metal. They didn't kill thrash metal, obviously, because you had bands come out in the '90s like Deicide, and that's an example I can use right now. But anyways, you had other metal bands come out in the '90s, so they didn't kill metal. They didn't sell out here. They just made a fucking music video to promote their shit. Because I mean, granted, look. Their first 2 albums they were put out on Megaforce independently. They get signed by Elektra, put out fucking Master of Puppets. Yeah, it's great on the underground, but it still ain't doing shit in the fucking mainstream. So they put a music video out thinking like, hey, maybe this will help us sell some fucking records, which isn't a bad idea. I mean, hell, at least Elektra sprung to put this album on 2 LPs like Master of Puppets should have been. Like, what do you want from them? They're a fucking metal band. Like, Jesus, they didn't kill fucking metal, they didn't sell out, all that fucking bullshit. Those guys, motherfuckers can fuck off on that shit. Alright. Look, they may be horror punk. Honestly, I couldn't name you 10 bands in the horror punk scene. Maybe I could, I'm not going to. But anyways, this album right here is a good fucking metal album. It doesn't have any of the fucking Misfits ballads. It doesn't have all the slow songs. It doesn't have all their experimental shit. This is just fucking in your face, just thrashy ass fucking just punk metal. Like, there's a reason why this is included in the influential metal fucking albums right here. It's just a great fucking album. Hotep's The Ascension. I cannot remember what website I used, but it wasn't like illegal file sharing. I'm not gonna say that I didn't pirate, but I will say that on this one I didn't. There was like this website that would like give you like lesser known bands. Like they would give you like a pack of like fucking like 30 songs or something. And they were lesser known. And somehow I got a hold of a song called Special Pets from OTEP, which I did not know till later on, was actually only included on A, the vinyl, and B, the deluxe CD edition of the album. I got this, dude, it is so fucking cool. I know that she's gotten some shit for being oppressive against women or racist or whatever the fuck it is now. But still, it's still a really cool, like, 2000s metal album. I really do like it. I think it's like one of my favorite metal albums, and hence why I got it on vinyl. Now, so I've mentioned before in this video, or I've mentioned like both my videos, that I like wrestling. So how I found out about Static X was ECW The Music Volume 2. They had a song on there which was called Head, which you can find on like their Rarities album, but it's a different mix. So I found out about them by accident, kind of, or this album by accident. So there's this band in WCW, or not band, there was this tag team in WCW called Chronic, and they used a song that was really fucking cool and hard and heavy. And I remember I was popped in this CD, or I came across it somehow. Love Dump. If you ever remember Chronic, they actually used the song Love Dump they used an instrumental version of Love Dump from Static X. That's how I found out about this album. It's just still one of my favorite albums. I've listened to this 3 or 4 times, so I've gotten it on vinyl, and it's only been in the last few months. So, it's just a really good metal album. What we got here? So I said I wasn't going to, but I am. So this is a newer metal band called Speedwolf. They have since broken up. I cannot remember what the hell one of the members' newer bands is, but still, this is a really good thrashy death kind of album. It's an independent album, but still, it was a really good fucking album. It's called Ride with the Devil from Speedwolf. It's a really good album. Couldn't tell you why. I can never tell you why an album's fucking good. I'm not technical whatsoever. That's either I like it or I don't. I mean, it's kind of like how you can go with my channel. Either you like me or you don't like me. I don't really give a shit. Watch me, don't watch me. I don't give a fuck, really. Obviously, Slayer's Rain and Blood. Everyone's always going to fucking call this the greatest thrash metal album that there ever is, and it is. Why? because it helped usher in the death metal. I wouldn't say scene, but genre. It's not that there wasn't bands who wasn't always doing that, like Death, Leprosy. What was the other fucking band? Slaughter. Not Death, Leprosy. Sorry, Death, Venom, Slaughter. There's other bands who was helping fucking usher in like death metal, but like Rain and Blood did change the game up a little bit, because whereas like Metallica was doing like traditional thrash with some ballad type shit, Anthrax was doing like fucking like the New York hardcore shit with like crossover like Suicidal Tendencies and Agnostic Front was doing, and then Megadeth was over here trying to like be like fucking Jungmann Jalmstein, whatever the fuck the dude's name is, fucking technical shit, like 15,000 minute songs, like over here trying to be like the Prague of thrash metal. Slayer's Rain and Blood was like, hey, you know what we should do? Let's just cut out bullshit, and then let's just like play really fast and hard and bassy, and let's sign to a fucking rap label while we're at it, and then get this guy Rick Rubin, who hasn't done really a whole hell of a lot yet, but you know, fuck it, he's wanting to do shit with us. So like he puts in like this tight, very stripped down sound. They write these like hardcore influenced songs, which is just pretty much verse, maybe a chorus, verse, end. And they did this for 29 fucking minutes. That's awesome. Like this changes the fucking game, because no longer do bands have to like try to emulate Black Sabbath and Metallica at this point, and Megadeth and Anthrax even. All they gotta do is just like, fuck it, we can be really hard and fast and put some like heavier vocals on it, and look what you got. You got death metal. Now, I know you're probably looking at me and be like, this dude ain't got a fucking clue. Honestly, I am going off what I've listened to, what I've watched as far as documentaries, and what I've read as far as things online about metal. But you know what? I'm 30 years old. I'm within somebody's young fucking face group, or not Facebook, and somebody's fucking young age group. You can listen to me, like I said. You don't listen to me. I don't really give a shit. Do whatever you want. Type Negative's Bloody Kisses. Why it's one of my favorite metal albums? It's funny as shit. First off, I did not know Summer Breeze was a parody, or not a parody, it was a cover. I actually thought, going off of like what I'd listened to from Type O Negative, Slow Deep and Hard, and an Origin of the Feces, that like they completely wrote something fucking hilariously not gothic and made it sound gothic. I was wrong. Didn't know that until I talked to my, at that point, girlfriend, now my wife, about it, and she was telling me about how it was Seals and Croft, and I was like, okay, well, that blew my fucking mind. Why it's funny? They happened upon being put into the fucking doom metal genre completely by accident. Like, if you listen to Origin of the Feces and you listen to Slow Deep and Hard, they were still not riding high, but I would say they were still doing a lot of like hardcore crossover type of music with like heavy metal and somewhat doomy type stuff. But I mean, it wasn't what like it was after or on Bloody Kisses. I mean, Bloody Kisses even has like thrash and hardcore crossover type shit with Kill All the White People and We Hate Everyone. But it's really like, it's deep as far as like how like bassy and like groove, almost doomy it is. I wouldn't say it's deep as far as lyrics, because they're funny as shit. I mean, yeah, they're poking, and I mean, what's great is like goths and like gothic girls like get into this album or get into Type O Negative, and I mean, a lot of people, including me and my wife, are just like, they're making fun of you. Like, Black Number One literally is making fun of fucking goth girls with all the stereotypes put out there. Christian Woman is making fun of religion and people who were like deeply into religion. fucking Bloody Kisses is about vampires. Like, they're making fun of you. So, I don't know. Still one of my favorite fucking albums, though. System of a Down Toxicity, I went into it my last album, or my last video. It's just a really good fucking intro album. It's just, from start to finish, it's just heavy and thrashy as shit. It's just a good album. Now, Astro Creek 2000. Dude, this album has fucking everything for a modern metal fan. Well, at that point, modern. It's not modern now. You had thrash, you had doom, you had groove, you had industrial. You had everything on one fucking album. It was just a great fucking album. Alright, Fear Factory's Demanufacture. Why I love this fucking album. One, Mortal Kombat soundtrack. Zero Signal is on the Mortal Kombat soundtrack, and that's how I found out about this album. But it's still a really good industrial album, and I think that it was like the birth of metalcore. That's just mine personally. I think metalcore came, or at least what modern metalcore is, because if you listen to Burton C. Bell, he does like screaming, raspy shit, and he also does very clean fucking vocals. But it's good. It's cool. Now, Gutted Alive, they are a new death metal band. Newer, anyways. They are fucking killing it. But why? Because they sound like early Cannibal Corpse. And I don't mean the fucking Corpse Grinder Cannibal Corpse. I mean the Chris Barnes, like Eaten Back to Life, Butchered at Birth, The Bleeding, and Tune the Mutilated fucking Cannibal Corpse. Like, that's what they sound like to me. Because for my death metal, I like my death metal a little bit like what I call thrash metal instrumentation, and that means that, like, first off, you can hear all the different instruments. You can hear the guitar. If they have a fucking rhythm guitar, you can hear that you can hear the bass, you can hear the vocals, you can hear the drums. If you listen to a lot of, like, what I consider, what's called blackened death metal, it's more down-tuned, kind of like how the how the Corpse Grinder Cannibal Corpse is very down-tuned. The bass and the guitar kind of blend together. You can't really distinguish one from the other. The drums are there, you can hear them, and it's just mostly kind of like blast beats. You hear the hi-hats a little bit, and then the vocals are just very, like, indistinguishable. Kind of like how fucking 6 Feet Under is anymore. And Necrosadist. Necrosadist I'm not going to fucking dig at because I'm going to go see them in a little bit, but I don't know, that pig squeal shit, like, all the way through, not for me. Now, I'm not going to knock Necrosadist. I'm not going to knock black and death metal. It's not my cup of tea, but I do like my death metal a little bit more like Gutted Alive, or Gutted Christ even though they're considered black and death metal, because I actually do like to hear all the fucking instruments. And I do like a little bit of, like, I don't know, tone to it. I do like to hear, like, that wee, guitar, but that's me. I have another one here. I don't know what the fuck I want. Oh, here we go. Now, Faith Extractor. Raising the World of Myth. I don't even remember the name of the fucking album is, but this great fucking black death progressive thrash metal. I don't even know what to call it. Now, the drummer, no, I'm wrong. Actually, could be. I don't know. But one of the dudes from this band, Jason Pate, he has a band called Machinations of Fate. That album, to me, blows everything Faith Extractor has done out of the fucking water. I don't know why. Like, if you actually talk to Jason Pate, the dude will literally tell you that he recorded it in a basement on, like, a basic fucking, like, CD recorder. Or, like, I wouldn't say CD recorder, but he recorded very fucking basic. And let me tell you something, it blows fucking Faith Extractor to me out of the fucking water. It's more thrashy. It sounds a lot better for some odd fucking reason, even though that I know more work production went into this. It's awesome. Anyways, it's a very, very, very long fucking ranty ass fucking video. I hope someone watches it. If you don't. I don't really give a shit. I'm just making it for fun. Anyways, thanks.